What is up, folks? A very warm welcome to NoOneWatchesArDee. I am your host, ArDee, and I am coming at you once again with more unwatchable content and another video that nobody is going to watch. But if you happen to be one of those few nobodies that does choose to tune in to NoOneWatchesArDee, today's topic is Memetic warfare, a $50 billion industry. And memetics, if you are a follower of this channel, which is unlikely, although I do have a few regular offenders that do keep coming back for more unwatchable content, you may be familiar with the fact that memetics is one of those trumpets I keep blowing quite frequently on this channel, and do not want to go out of my way to consider myself a global leader in the subject, but there are very few channels around on YouTube, or very few people that I have come across in my time as being a content creator, that do talk about the threat of memetics and their impact they are having on society and social behavioral patterns. Now, I am not a lone crusader in this. There are a few others out there that I have come across sort of in more recent times that are suddenly talking about the dangers and risks of memetics, and in today's video we are going to be having a little bit of a deeper dive, maybe not as deeper dives as we have done previously on this channel regarding memetics, but we are going to do a little bit of a refresher, and just to sort of highlight to some of you folks that this is a very real threat. And when you consider that the United States government on average is spending approximately $1 billion a week clandestinely on black operations of social influence through various platforms of social media that we use today, it's going to have to make you stop and think to yourself, what are they spending those $1 billion on exactly? Are they just to give us entertained and give us a few thumbs up and likes and lols? I don't really think so. Is it a more sinister agenda that is really captivated and taking control of society in a way that I never really thought could be possible when I first discovered the theories and principles and methods of memetic warfare over a decade ago now, and it was around about 6 years, I think, on my original channel TSP TV, the Thrift Store Prepper as I was once known. I started speaking about memetics, often faced and was received with an awful lot of ridicule, and not many people sort of took it seriously. And how harmless or deadly can memes be? Well, in today's episode, hopefully we will be having a look at those a few articles that will show and highlight just how deadly and dangerous memetics and social media memes are on society, and the impact they do have on the mind of the users that do seem to become endlessly obsessed with the process of sharing memes on their social media feeds for whatever rewards or personal gains they bring them. But before we do dive into today's content, I did just want to draw attention to a comment that I recently received on an ironic short that I recently uploaded. And this comment comes from Rebel Foyer, who I do strongly suspect is none other than my partner in crime, Sweet Cheeks L78. Under a different guise, as many of us YouTubers and content creators often had backup accounts for all variety of purposes. But back to the comment, it does go out to read, "Good to see you back. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to enlightening a world who for the most part desire to ignore the depth of the danger and the deception. Everyone needs to watch ArDee." Well, thank you very much for that comment, Rebel, for you, although I don't think everyone needs to watch ArDee, but it would be nice if a few more folks did watch ArDee, and maybe some of those that do watch ArDee paid a little more attention. So without any further ado, folks, let's get over to our first article of the day.
Title: How Memes Infect the Mind, the Hidden Contagion of Control. The meme machine paragraph. Not all viruses attack your body. Some are designed to hijack your mind, influence your emotions and your desires. In the age of AI and endless scrolling, memes, those simple viral images that spread through clicks with the speed of a sneeze, aren't just a joke or a distraction. They're the programming language of the collective unconscious. Memes put meaning into motion. Paragraph. Memes now shape news headlines, elections, financial markets, and even our sense of self. Global conversations are instantly influenced by the simple and effective memetic phenomenon of image plus emotion. Thought forms are launched into the ethers by the memetic mechanism. With each scroll and glance, we enter the trance. Images become impressed upon our psyche. Attention gives it energy. We download a code without even knowing it. But who's really writing the code, framing our brain, and generating the narrative strands of our collective DNA? Meme logic, the virus of desire paragraph. Let's start with something fundamental, human desire. What guides us to want what we want? French philosopher René Girard called it memetic desire. We want what others want, not because of any inherent value, but because we're wired to copy. This is the hidden current beneath consumer fads, political movements, and even the brands we brand ourselves with as a part of our identity. The unconscious program often drives the conscious action. Paragraph. It was Richard Dawkins who first popularized the term meme, an idea, symbol, or behavior that spreads from person to person like a biological virus. But Girard went deeper. Memes don't just spread information, they ignite longing, rivalry, and sometimes violence. Paragraph. Today, technocrats and Silicon Valley power brokers have weaponized this principle. Peter Thiel, one of the architects of the modern digital surveillance economy, has openly credited Girard as his intellectual North Star. Why? Because whoever controls memetic contagion controls the marketplace, the narrative, and ultimately, the masses. Because he who shapes the conversation curates the culture and conditions the collective mind. Mental slavery is easy in a digital cage. We submit with each click. We proliferate the mind virus to our circle of contacts without a thought. Memetic magic, symbols, spells, and the unconscious programming paragraph. Memes may look innocent, funny, bizarre, or relatable. But beneath the surface, they're digital sigils, crafted to bypass your rational filters and plug straight into your cognitive and emotional wiring. Paragraph. The right meme can turn a rumor into a movement, a joke into a weapon, or an individual into a scapegoat. In the book Virus of the Mind by Richard Brody, it's made clear, the replicator that evolves the mind is called the meme. Paragraph. I saw this firsthand in my conflict studies. In From Violence to Blessing by Vern Redekop, we explored how symbols and shared stories set the stage for both healing and harm. Memes, in this sense, are rituals of modern magic, nudging collective behavior with a single click. Scapegoats and viral violence paragraph. Girard's contribution wasn't just in diagnosing memetic desire, but in showing how it leads to a crisis. When everyone wants the same thing, conflict erupts. The way societies resolve this is as old as myth. Find a scapegoat to blame and sacrifice them to restore order. Clear the conscious, unconsciously. Paragraph. Today's digital world moves at the speed of data, but the human pattern remains. Social media movements, cancel culture, and even AI misinformation. Crackdowns all run on this ancient operating system. Focus the group's anxiety, anger, and violence on a target, perform a sacrifice, then move on as if balance has been restored. But the shadow grows as we forget our transgressions and never deal directly with the cognitive dissonance. Paragraph. Girard's warning was clear. We are not as rational as we think. We are as programmable as we fear. Meme wars, technocrats, media, and the control mechanism. Paragraph. Who benefits from this? The ones writing the code, platform architects, media managers, political operatives, and the tech elite who understand that the real battleground is attention and desire. They bypass our rational minds and infect us with the magic of a meme. Marketing has long perfected this technology, with alluring ads to stir our deepest desires. We empty our wallets to consume brands that mark our relative position in the hierarchy of human. We justify ourselves with logic that is coded into the fibers of our being by masterful deceivers who install and pull levers we can't even see. Paragraph. Thiel, Musk, and the PayPal mafia built empires not just on software, but on social contagion, how ideas catch, spread, and drive us to act, even against our best interests. Every trending hashtag, viral challenge, and outrage cycle is a button pushed by those who know the power of memetic engineering. They shape society with a simple mind virus. The meme is not innocuous. It infects us with mental illness, one GIF at a time. Credit, Tesfu Asifa, the mind virus, are we infected? Paragraph. If all this sounds bleak, it doesn't have to be. Memes are both the virus and the antidote. Awareness is step one. The moment you see the code, you can begin to write your own. Paragraph. In my own journey through software and systems engineering, conflict studies, and spiritual work, I've realized that agency is won by pattern recognition. Who is benefiting from this meme? What emotion is it triggering? What thought form is being conjured? What agenda is being propagated? What action is being driven? Who or what gets scapegoated, and why? Paragraph. Memetic sovereignty means refusing to be just the training data. It means becoming a conscious curator of the signals you amplify, the sigils you consume, and the stories you pass on. Images matter and become matter. A call to conscious creation. Paragraph. In a world of accelerating AI and memetic magic, the war for your mind is real, and so is your power to reclaim it. Every meme you share and every symbol you view is a spell cast on the collective. Paragraph. So next time you see a meme or feel a sudden longing, outrage, or urge to pile on, pause. Ask, whose story is this? Who benefits? And what blessing could I send instead of a curse? Paragraph. In the end, the power of the memetic programming, the scapegoat mechanism, and viral violence can only persist if we stay asleep. Conscious creation is how we reclaim our future. Own your mind and your time.
So, welcome folks to medium.com, where we're about to read an article entitled The Psychology Behind Addictive Memes, and this article was originally published on December the 30th, 2023, although do forgive me as it's a little bit difficult to read without my reading glasses, which I cannot find for love nor money, but it is only a 3-minute read, although we might take a little bit longer getting through it than 3 minutes, as I might add a little bit to the context of this article as we go along. But let's get into the first paragraph, which starts out by saying, in today's digital age, memes have become an integral part of popular culture. They dominate social media platforms, captivating on attention and triggering a collective sense of humor. However, as harmless as they may seem, addictive memes can influence the human psyche in profound ways. This article explores the psychology behind addictive memes and sheds light on why they have such a strong hold on our minds. So, Chapter 1, The Power of Cognitive Resonance. Addictive memes exploit a psychological phenomenon known as cognitive resonance. When we came across a meme that aligns with one's personal beliefs or experiences or emotions, it resonates with us. And it resonates with us on a deeper level. This resonance triggers a sense of affirmation and connection, leading to a desire to engage and share that meme with others. It becomes a form of self-expression, strengthening our affiliation with a particular online community. Share if you agree, folks, and that is what memes are all about, sharing and agree, and they provide you something that you agree with, that resonates with you, that you then share and may or may not be adopted by other users. But was it a form of self-expression, or was the self-expression invoked and enforced by the meme? You tell me, what came first, the thought or the meme? But Chapter 2 is a very short chapter, emotional contagion. Memes possess the unique ability to evoke strong emotions within seconds. Whether it is an emotion of hilarity, if it is of nostalgia, or of sarcasm, they tap into our emotional centers, once again triggering a rapid response. This emotional contagion is a key factor in the addictive nature of memes. When we experience a powerful emotional reaction in a meme, our brain streaks to recreate that Our brain seeks to recreate that pleasurable feeling by encouraging us to seek out more memes and continue this addictive cycle. What that is basically is, in similar terms, is the equivalent of a crack user picking up the crack pipe, sparking up a rock, twisting that pookie 2 to 10, enjoying the inhalation and the exhalation of the substance that he has just consumed. And once the effects of that initial hit wears off, he will then pick up the pipe, throw in another rock, ignite it, and repeat the process over and over and over and over again.
Why are you going there? It's a bit of crack. Crack? Crack, Superhands. Relax. It's not Blue Peter. Have a nice little relaxing smoke of crack.
Social validation and recognition are chapter 3, and it goes out to say that humans are social beings constantly seeking validation and recognition from our peers. Addictive memes offer a way for individuals to gain social acceptance and approval through likes, shares, and comments. They serve as a means of self-expression, although they aren't means of self-expression if you're sharing something that already exists. Is it your self-expression? And I hear something that an awful lot of people say when I talk to them about memes is, well, I only share memes because they say what I am thinking. And I sort of often follow up with, and you don't find that disturbing? And the fact that we are in a day and age where artificially intelligent algorithms can literally read our thoughts and turn those into content with pictures, voices, words, almost indistinguishable from reality. But back to the article, where were we? They serve as a means of self-expression, which is where I digressed, allowing us to project our identity and sense of humor onto the online presence. But again, I question, is it our identity or sense of humor if we are just merely rehashing something that was provided to us on our newsfeed with the sole intent and purpose of being agreed with and shared and spread like a viral contagion? The desire for validation contributes significantly to the addictive nature of memes as we strive to constantly seek that acknowledgement from our online communities. Dopamine and the reward system. Now, society is suffering from a dopamine addiction, and unlike many people who have addictions to, should we say, black market substances, there is always, when you go down a dodgy, dark, sketchy back alley and hand over a handful of cash for a bag of substance, you do realize that there is a threat that this is an addictive substance and pathway that you are stepping down. But unlike social media news feeds, there is no awareness that this is an addictive pastime, and that the content that is contained within our news feed is designed and purposely distributed to the desired targets in order to keep them engaging as long as possible. And to keep them engaged, they form addictions and provide them with dopamine, which is something that is also triggered from drugs and stimulants. A more natural way to get your dopamine is from the sunshine as one prime natural example. Another way to get dopamine is interacting physically and personally with partners and friends and loved ones, and talking, conversation, laughing, joking, doing things as a unit rather than sort of solitarily scrolling and sharing and agreeing and waiting, that hoping that somebody is going to give that post a thumbs up, and even better still, a comment that may be just an emoji or an avatar that says 100%. But the brain's reward system plays a crucial role in addiction, as I was just saying, including addictive behaviors related to memes. When we encounter a meme that elicits laughter or contentment, our brain releases dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This surge of dopamine reinforces the behavior and encourages us to repeat it. In this cycle, creates a craving for more memes, just as keep smoking crack promotes a craving for more crack.
Tell you what, that crack is really Moorish.
But it leads to an addictive pattern as we yearn for the pleasurable rush again and again. Segment 5, Chapter 5, call it what you will, instant gratification and continuous scrolling. Addictive memes thrive on the principle of instant gratification. Instagram providing humorous snippets that require minimal effort to consume. Scrolling through an endless feed of memes allows us to escape from the real world momentarily and experience quick doses of entertainment. The accessibility and ease of consumption make memes extremely appealing and contribute to their addictive nature. Chapter 6, the element of surprise. Another aspect of addictive memes is their ability to surprise and catch us off guard. Memes often
subvert our expectations, presenting a twist or an unexpected punchline that elicits a strong reaction and keeps us coming back for more. This element of surprise triggers a cognitive response and creates a desire for novel and unpredictable content, leading to a constant search for the next viral meme. 7. The power of simplicity. The meme is an effective because of their simplicity. In a world cluttered with complex information and stimuli, memes offer bite-sized, easily digestible content, easily forgettable content that requires minimal effort to understand and enjoy. This simplicity allows memes to spread quickly and effortlessly, making them highly shareable and contributing to their addictive nature. Now, this is why we've just seen a couple of AI answers when I provided a couple of questions to it. You know, the US government spending on memetic warfare and the addictive nature of memes. And the reason I sort of did not comment and read them to you as I'm reading this article is because you do have to do a little bit of work for yourself. And by reading it for yourself, hopefully you will have a cognitive reaction to what you have just read. And having just read it, hopefully it will remain in your brain a little bit longer than the few seconds it takes to digest your average social media meme with maybe 10, 12 words contained within it at the very tops. But we are moving down to chapter 8, and I told you it would take a little bit longer than 3 minutes, folks. But cognitive ease and familiarity. One of the primary drivers behind the addictive nature of memes is the concept of cognitive ease. Our brains are hardwired to seek familiarity and simplicity, allowing us to process information effortlessly. Memes tap into this natural tendency by utilizing easily recognizable images on videos and often follow a standard template. The repetitive nature of familiar meme formats triggers a sense of comfort, leading to an increased engagement and sharing. Now, some of you guys may recall back in the very early days of the scam pandemic that there was a very viral trend of people sharing the blonde lady shouting and pointing at the cat eating a salad meme template. And this is an example of, the familiarity of memes. You see the same image over and over and over and over and over again, but each and every time you see it, it may or may not contain a different text or, a different style of text font, but the image will be the same, triggering that sense of familiarity. Another sort of popular meme template, obviously, you may be familiar with, is that of Leonardo DiCaprio from Django Unchained laughing, and you may be familiar also with, maybe Kermit the Frog looking out of a rainy window, drinking a cup of Lipton iced tea. But the repetitive nature of familiar meme formats triggers a sense of comfort, leading to an increased engagement, as we have just read. And lucky for you folks, in conclusion, addictive memes leverage various psychological mechanisms, including a cognitive resonance, emotional cognition, social validation, and the brain's reward system to keep us hooked. They tap into your intimate human desire for connection, humor, and validation while pondering instant gratification. Understanding the psychology behind addictive memes not only sheds light on our obsessions with them, but also prompts us to reflect on the impact they have on our mental well-being and others around you. So a little bit, like people who do smoke crack or cigarettes or marijuana, and they're sort of in the the company of people who don't, then maybe sometimes the people who are, not smokers or consuming the substance may get a second-hand contact with it. Is a reason why now smoking is banned in so many public establishments, is for the people who were non-smokers being affected by the toxic smoke of those who do choose to smoke. But it only sheds light on our obsessions with them, but it also prompts us to reflect on the impact they have on our mental well-being, as we've just read. And so the next time you find yourself endlessly scrolling through meme feeds, remember the psychology at play behind this seemingly innocent phenomenon, which is anything but innocent. It is in fact military-grade technology being used against us. So stay tuned, folks. There is more to follow on memetic warfare, the $50 billion industry. We now find ourselves at International Relations. Who exactly they are is something that we'll have to wait for another day, or possibly be piled on the never to happen pile. But we are going to be looking at an article titled Soft Power Viral, TikTok Memes and Transitional Descent in the Age of Digital Influence, and it is by someone named Mauricio Pecara. Now, this is no ordinary article, folks. It is in fact an award, an article that has been nominated for an award, which we are about to find out. And there is a PDF to download, which you sure can be. I have downloaded, and here we have a thumbnail of TikTok. There we go. Let me make it a little bit smaller. Forgive me. I'm reading this in the landscape mode, as it is a little bit easier to read, as I have yet to find my reading glasses. And as I was mentioning about the award, it starts out by saying this article was shortlisted as part of the 2025 International Relations Article Award, and it is sponsored by a whole bunch of people that you can see for yourself, including Edinburgh and Manchester University Press. But it starts out by saying, in the last decade, we have witnessed an emergence of a new form of digital soft power, driven by social media and meme culture. Platforms such as TikTok have evolved from mere entertainment hubs into powerful tools of political influence and transitional activism. From viral videos documenting wars in real time to global youth-led solidarity campaigns, the international stage is increasingly shaped by content produced and disseminated in the decentralized digital environment across the global south and among younger generations worldwide. TikTok and memes have become a cultural weapons used to challenge official narratives, mobilize global support, and amplify transitional dissent. This article explores how TikTok and meme-driven culture function as instruments of soft power, that is, the ability to influence through the attraction and persuasion rather than coercion. In today's social and political contents, it presents an updated conceptual framework of soft power in the digital era, drawing on recent academic sources from 2023 to 2025 that address both its transformation and its emerging dilemmas through three key case studies: the war in Ukraine, global pro-Palestine mobilization, and the Pan-Asian Digital Alliance known as MILK. Alliance. We examine how viral videos and how memetic content are shaping international conflict, narratives, and social movements. Finally, we engage into a critical discussion of the opportunities, risks, and ethical challenge pressed by this decentralized form of soft power in a world where ordinary users can shape global perceptions such as much as, if not more than, traditional state actors. The dynamics of influence, legitimacy, and information now flow are being fundamentally redefined. Sorry about that, my eyes got a little bit blurry. Now that video is of no importance, but it won't allow us to get rid of it, you motherfuckers. I hate when they do that. There we go. Can we tap there? It's gone. Thank you. Excuse me for that. So the concept of soft power, the article goes on to say, was first introduced by Joseph Nye in the late 1980s. Defined as the ability to influence the behavior of others to get the outcomes one wants through attraction rather than coercion or payment, NYE 2004. In brackets, not sure what that's about, but traditionally a state soft power stemmed from its culture, political values, and foreign policy, and was exercised through public diplomacy, educational exchange, international aid, and global media. For decades, states sought to win hearts and minds abroad by showcasing the most attractive aspects of their identity. Hollywood films, French cuisine, Japanese anime all become instruments of cultural influence with geopolitical implications. I wish I could see what I was reading better than I am seeing it. Hopefully you are following and understanding what I am saying, and again I ask forgiveness if I do stumble across some of these words on occasion. As I said, it's difficult to read. But what has changed in the digital era, the article questions, and it says, first, the rise of the internet and social platforms has exponentially expanded both the reach and the immediacy of soft power. Today, any country or individual with a compelling narrative can access global audiences in real time. Bypassing traditional diplomatic channels, platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now X, and especially TikTok allow direct engagement with broad and often uninterested audiences without state mediation. Second, the nature of influence of the influential actor has diversified. Soft power is no longer an exclusive domain of state. Non-state actors, NGOs, internet celebrities, and social movements, and even ordinary citizens can shape global narratives. Online communities form around shared causes, creating a transitional micro-publics. And this new environment, civil society plays a central role in producing soft power, while independent or opposition to official state agendas. As ArDee 2020 shows, TikTok's attention economics and visibility labors shape emergence forms of internet celebrity. Visibility labors shape engagement forms of internet credibility. And it's very, very interesting that they mention attention economics there, because the attention economy is something that is very, very, very real. Once upon a time, data was the new gold. It was sort of replaced by reactions. Reactions were the new gold, or the new platinum, if you like. But now attention, as long as social media platforms retain your attention, they don't care what they are are giving you and churning you out to share and agree with. It's all about your attention. Look that up for yourself. The attention economy and how dopamine is being used to drive certain platforms' attention economies through the roof. Again, apologies for any stumbling through this article. Scholars and policy analysts now argue that the internet, once hailed as an open highway for ideas, is increasingly fragmented and condensed. Countries are building digital walls, restricting access to platforms and tailoring content flows to local sensibilities. This has led to a balkanization of the internet, where the digital soft power is shaped not just by cultural appeal, but also by the algorithmic infrastructures and geopolitical filtering. AI-driven moderation and algorithmic governance have become central mechanisms of digital repression worldwide as audiences become more fragmented and more polarized. Public diplomacy must be more agile, personalized, and people-centered. Another core transformation is the horizontal, participatory nature of influence. Soft power is no longer a top-down message from capitals to passive global consumers. Instead, it is a multi-directional, co-produced process where the users remix, reinterpret, and emotionally engaged with content. TikTok in particular thrives on the participatory remix culture. According to Papa Charis of 2015, digital platforms facilitate the rise of active publics, communities that mobilize around shared emotions, narratives, and often outside institutional structures. Again, my eyesight, I do apologize. And of course, this new digital landscape comes with serious challenges. The same platforms that amplify authentic voices can also spread disinformation and faster manipulative narratives. This has led to the emergence of a concept of sharp power. My goodness, my eyes are absolutely going completely to pot now. And this is used by authoritarian regimes to distort, divide, and undermine rival solidarities through media and cultural channels instead of attracting others through legitimate appeal. Sharp power uses soft tools like news, entertainment, and social media for coercive or deceptive purposes. In practice, this blurs the line between influence and interference. Really must get some glasses. In sum, soft power in the digital age is more accessible, participatory, and volatile. It offers extraordinary opportunities for marginalized voices to reach the world, but it also exposes societies to new vulnerabilities, as we will see in the following case studies. Platforms like TikTok and the viral logic of memes are reshaping not only how influence works, but also who gets to influence. TikTok memes and the war in the Ukraine. Russia's full-scale invasion of the Ukraine in February 2022 marked a turning point for the role of social media in armed conflict. Analysts quickly dubbed it the first TikTok war. Interesting how much TikTok is featuring in this article, folks, don't you think? And let's take a moment to ask you if you have any thoughts or opinions on TikTok. Let me know in the comments, although I'm already assured that it's unlikely that you will. But the first TikTok war, not because previous conflicts had lacked online coverage, but because TikTok became a primary battlefield for global narratives, one shaped not only by journalists or state media, but by ordinary citizens in real time. In the early days of the invasion, TikTok was flooded with user-generated content. Ukrainian civilians document air raids, soldiers dancing or singing to maintain morale, and TikTok does like its activists or its actors rather to dance, if you can remember those TikTok dancing nurses during the pandemic. But they do, as I said, like dancing actors, dancing or singing to maintain morale. And young women narrating their lives from underground shelters, all paired with viral audio, humor, and the sense of raw intimacy. These videos did more than record suffering. They helped audiences make emotional sense of the war. Covered the war, countered Russian disinformation, and drew sympathy and solidarity from millions abroad. One of the most emblematic figures was Valeria Shashashanok, a young Ukrainian who gained millions of followers by posting candid, ironic clips about her life during the siege of Chernihiv. I can't read that, sorry. Her humorous yet harrowing videos set to pop music showed the human cost of the war in ways traditional diplomacy could not do so. TikTok, in this case, became a bottom-up tool of emotional soft power, enabling ordinary Ukrainians to reach global audiences with stories that resonated across borders and languages. At the same time, however, Ukraine's government used TikTok and other platforms for strategic digital diplomacy. Official channels promoted unity, resilience, and international appeals. But for the most, the impactful content came from the decentralized, crowd-driven initiatives. A striking example is the Saint Javelin meme, a viral image depicting a Madonna-like figure holding a javelin missile launcher. Initially a joke, it was embraced as a symbol of resistance. The meme quickly morphed into merchandise, raising over $1 million to support the Ukraine's military and humanitarian needs. The image became so prominent its creator, Canadian journalist Christian Boys was blacklisted by the Russian government. The Saint Javelin icon emerged as a wartime symbol and fundraising vehicle. Another powerful example is the rise of the North Atlantic Fellas Operation, a digital grassroots movement using Shiba Inu dog avatars in satire, Russian propaganda online. Originating in Twitter and spreading to TikTok, NAFO participants engaged in meme warfare, discrediting disinformation and raising funds for Ukrainians' defense. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense officially thanked the group for its meme offensive. Through humor and irrelevance, NAFO showed that memes can be weapons of resistance, building community and morale while undermining enemy narratives. Russia, in contrast, leveraged TikTok as part of its own information warfare strategy, albeit with mixed success. While restricting initial access to TikTok and other Western platforms to control domestic dissent, Russia's state-affiliated media, such as RT and Espanol and Sputnik Radio, Sputnik Mundo, used TikTok to target global Spanish-speaking audiences, particularly in Latin America and the USA. A bookings analysis in May 2024 shows Russian state media get far higher engagement per post on TikTok than anywhere else. These competing uses of TikTok highlight its dual role. Everything has a dual purpose, folks, as a space for grassroots storytelling and global solidarity, as well as a platform for state-sponsored manipulation and influence operations. In the Ukraine's case, the power of the individual, armed with a smartphone and a personal narrative, provided to one of the most powerful, effective tools in shaping international support. As the war continues, so does the battle for hearts and minds on the digital front lines. Now, this does go on and on and on for quite some time, and guys, we're not even halfway through this article. Although I would love to read it all, my eyes are suffering, but hopefully you are getting the picture. But what I will do is sort of scroll casually down to the bottom of this article, so if you do wish so, you can come back at a later date and read it for yourself by stopping and pausing as you go along. And as I said, it is an extremely long article, and I'm sure if I read it all in its entirety, it will take a considerable amount of time to reach the end, and sort of why I haven't been adding any initial input to this article is the fact that it is so very long. But we might just sort of finish it up by reading the final segment of this article to sort of finalize this before we move on to other things. And by the looks of things, we're not that far off the bottom now. We're around about 3/4 of the way through it. Let's see how much more we have to get through. Conclusion. There we go. That was what I was looking for. So in conclusion, the article goes on to say that TikTok and memes have become powerful vectors of digital soft power, transcending borders and redefining who gets to influence global narratives. As shown in the cases of the Ukraine, Palestine, and the Milk Tea Alliance, this form of influence does not originate in foreign ministries or think tanks. It often emerges from smartphones in bomb shelters, although I would disagree a little bit about that and say that it does probably generate in think tanks and government offices, and then they sort of put a state-funded actor into a bunker armed with a smartphone and a script that will sort of add a little bit of authenticity to what you are witnessing as context. But from smartphones in bomb shelters, in street protests, or from artists and activists remixing symbols of resistance. This signals a transformation in how power operates in the international system. The ability to attract, persuade, and mobilize how lies not only with states but also with decentralized network publics who create emotional, visual, and participatory content. These users are not diplomats, but they are often more effective in shaping perceptions, including solidarity and framing legitimacy in conflict and process. However, this democratization of influence comes with new vulnerabilities, manipulation, surveillance, misinformation, and the commodification of trauma. The same tools that empower resistance can be used to undermine soft truth and trust. Platforms like TikTok are battlegrounds, not only for attention, but for values, empathy, and meaning. For scholars, practitioners, and policymakers, this raises key challenges. How do we rethink public diplomacy in an age where the most impactful content may be a 30-second meme. How do we protect civic expression while combating disinformation? And how do we ensure that digital influence enhances democratic values rather than eroding them? In this new environment, authenticity, narrative, and emotional renaissance matter more than ever. Understanding and engaging with the dynamics of digital soft power is no longer optional. It is essential to navigating the complex hybrid geographics in the 21st century. Now, there are some references here at the bottom, and I do apologize if I did butcher that article. As I said, I didn't realize it would affect my eyesight as much as it did. But that is it from that award-winning article. And as you can see, TikTok and memes in particular have been used, certainly within the last 4 to 5 years, to manipulate, shape, and form public online opinion around the border on particular agendas and narratives that are currently going on. And sort of a little bit, one of the main principles of memes and one of their, sort of ingredients it does seem to trigger people is, us versus them paradigm. It's always going to be, on one side of the argument, we are fighting for a good cause, just trying to make people wake up and open their minds and realize these things. And on the other sort of side of the same coin is, we're just trying to spread our word. We're just using our voices and creativity to spread messages and memes, for awareness and enlightenment. And again, guys, as always, my message with any content that I upload to this channel is make of it what you will. But this is a billion-dollar industry, and that is not just for the United States government. That is, around the world, everybody is investing in memetics and the power of memetic influence, which is probably where we are going to head next, where we're going to go and do something a little bit different and ask AI what it has to say about some certain memetic methods that are being used against us in real time.
So as promised, here we find ourselves at Google AI mode. Now, I'm not really a fan of using AI. I do like to tend to search and find out information myself, and I've always suggested and provided the thought that in the past, be very, very, very wary of information you do not have to find for yourself. And as we are discovering in this presentation about memetic warfare, that a lot of organizations, governments, and companies are spending millions, if not billions of dollars on memetic influence, which will insert itself on your news feed, so you don't have to look and find information for yourself. But we are going to use AI mode, just as another example of evidence towards the fact that memetics are not a good thing. And if you are somebody that finds yourself endlessly sharing TikTok videos or memes, believing that you're doing so because it is for enlightenment of other individuals, or that you are doing so because it is fighting for a cause or a crusade, I hate to inform you, you're not being informed. You are in fact being manipulated, and you're being manipulated as a sort of distributor of what is known as viral funk. I don't know if it's known as viral funk, but short form videos, memes, they are not meant to be information. They are just meant to rot your brain. But I've asked Google's AI mode. I actually haven't asked it anything. I just typed in memetic influence campaigns, and it goes on and starts out rather by saying that memetic influence campaigns are a form of information or psychological warfare that use internet memes and viral content to rapidly spread specific narratives, shape public opinions, and influence behavior on a massive scale. These campaigns leverage the psychology and the social dynamics of online culture to achieve strategic goals that can range from political mobilization to commercial branding.
Key characteristics and mechanics: virality and rapid dissemination. Memes are designed to be easily digestible, visibly engaging, and quickly shareable across social media platforms. First up, our least favorite friend, TikTok, Instagram, and X as the sort of worst offenders for these. And the reason I think they sort of put TikTok, Instagram, and X is because they're very, very restricted and are very, all about the short form rather than elongated videos such as the one you are currently watching. In sort of Twitter, or X as it's now known, was sort of known for only allowing a certain amount of characters per post, which they doubled. I think it's 140 characters, 180 characters. Correct me, am I wrong? And or answer for me in the comments. But others have followed. Instagram was all about instant gratification, and then along come TikTok and blew every motherfucker out of the water with its highly advanced memetic algorithms. And that's right, folks, algorithms are memetic and have been for quite some time. And recently, several major platforms just updated and introduced new highly advanced memetic algorithms. Maybe we'll look at those today, maybe we'll look at it another day. But back to this particular overview from AI. It was saying it was making this content shareable across social media such as TikTok, Instagram, and X. Before I digress, allowing messages to spread globally within hours or minutes, or often sometimes in seconds. Emotional and cultural resonance. They often use humor, sarcasm, satire, or emotional triggers. And again, triggers is another word we seem to hear an awful lot in this these articles, folks. And if you are a follower of this channel, you also know that mind control and MK Ultra is another particular subject of obsessive interest to myself, and also content that I have an awful lot of information on, or information that I have an awful lot of content on this channel that nobody has watched. But triggers, as I said, is associated with something with the sort of MK Ultra process, and it is something that has become part of public and common lexicon. Triggered is something that you say to somebody who gets upset by something. And of course there is the famous triggered lady meme template. But triggers are how they use or how they get us to tick by targeting our emotional desires, our personal belief systems, thoughts and opinions. All of that shit that we share on social media is used against us via artificially intelligent algorithms, creating content tailor-made and purposely designed to trigger our interests, which we're finding out about. But these triggers are designed to enhance more mobility and engagement, tapping into existing cultural trends and shared experience. Decentralized propagation. Unlike traditional propaganda, memes can be easily modified and shared by individual users who unknowingly become part of the campaign's promotional efforts. And that's what I'm saying. If you're somebody that is finding yourself endlessly sharing memes and TikTok videos, you're not informing anyone. You're not being informed. You're being manipulated, and you're being manipulated to help spread that campaign's efforts. You just essentially become frontline infantry, or maybe not frontline infantry, somebody more equivalent to standing on the street with a handful of pamphlets or flyers and just sort of trying to thrust them into any passers-by, hoping that somebody will take one from you, and more importantly, hoping that somebody who does take it from you will probably take the time to read it, not just toss it away instantaneously, which is what happens with memes and TikTok videos. Once you've seen them, once you've seen it, it's just deciding, you scroll on, and it's almost forgotten about by the time you found your next meme or short form video. But memes also are simplified messaging. Again, removing a lot of context, removing a lot of information. It's sort of like cliff notes for cliff notes. Simplified messaging, reducing everything to the bare minimum amount of information, not even information possible, to create content that then can be distributed and go viral. But complex ideas, political ideologies, or policies are often broken down into short, impactful visuals or catchphrases that resonate with a target audience, particularly younger demographics who consume news via social media. Like certain terminology and words that have been introduced to sort of society, like Karens, who was the first person that come up with that, or was that something that AI created and distributed memetically until it become part of common lexicon? Another example I could give would, people refer to individuals as being NPCs, non-playing characters. Who was the first individual that come up with that idea and shared it on Facebook? Or was it actually something that was generated in a super computer think tank and then distributed memetically to a target audience, who then sort of started thinking to themselves, I'm awake, I'm not an NPC, I share memes that tell me I'm awake, and that other people are NPCs. Again, these things are just designed to spread these messages. They're not designed to inform anybody. It's all about distributing the memetic narrative or the memetic agenda that is then adopted by the people that share them as their own. But strategic intent, while many memes spread organically in influence, I don't think that they really do, or if they do, it is extremely rare. Nothing goes viral without it being helped along the way to do so. But in influence campaigns, they are intentionally created and deployed by various actors, including governments, political groups, activists, and corporations, to achieve specific outcomes, e.g., mocking opponents, promoting a cause, or building brand loyalty. And that's what I'm saying. It's all about an us and a them, left versus right, Republican, Democrat, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Domino's, Pizza Hut. Left versus right, thus them paradigm is how they get it. They target and tailor-made and create and fuel and fund an ideology on one particular side of the argument, as much as they are doing the exact same thing on the other side, and then they are providing you your thoughts and opinions via memes, via TikTok videos that are then shared amongst the echo chambers, as they call them, rather than actually, spreading beyond the people. Preaching to the choir is an easier way of trying to explain what I'm trying to explain. That usually the only sort of people that tend to see the stuff that you share on social media are sort of people that share similar stuff to that. You don't ever sort of reach an audience outside that targeted demographic. But here are some examples of memetic influence campaigns, the first of which, something we've spoken about greatly here previously when discussing memetics, is the 2016 United States presidential election. The Pepe the Frog meme was co-opted by the alt-right groups to spread their messaging. Taiwan's humor over rumor approach. The Taiwanese government employs a memetic engineering teams to counter Chinese disinformation efforts using humor and rapid response. Fighting fire with fire, memes versus meme. Meme wars are very, very, very real, and they're going on and existing in real time, and many people just can't see it. A little bit of a case of not seeing the forest for the trees. Brexit referendum, the Take Back Control slogan was widely amplified through meme circulation to influence voters, as I'm saying. Social movements, Black Lives Matter, meme adaptations of slogans and symbols were used to amplify activist messages to mobilize supporters. Hong Kong protests, the Be Water meme was used to symbolize the adaptability of the protest movements. And commercial marketing examples, Brands like Netflix, Wendy's, and Gucci use memes to appear relatable and to engage with younger audiences while promoting products or shows along the way, and they often collaborate with social media influencers. Impact and risks. Memetic campaigns are highly effective due to their low cost and high engagement rates compared to traditional methods. However, they carry risks, including the potential to spread misinformation, perpetuate stereotypes, or generate public backlash. If deemed insensitive or cringeworthy for state actors, using memes can be a double-edged sword. While effective for grassroots movements, they may lack the control and predictability desired by larger, more formal institutions. And that concludes that particular Ask AI segment of this video. We're now going to go and ask AI what it thinks about memetic mind control. So stay tuned, folks. So as promised, folks, we have now asked Google AI mode memetic mind control. Actually, I haven't asked anything. I've just typed memetic mind control in the prompt bar, and this is what AI has to say about memetic mind control. Memetic mind control is a concept primarily discussed in theoretical and pop culture contexts that describes the use of memes, ideas, symbols, or behaviors that they spread rapidly through a culture as a form of manipulation or propaganda. It is an application of memetics, a theory that treats cultural information as a self-replicating organism, analogous, that word, to a gene which competes for space in human minds. Key concepts: memes as mind viruses. Richard Dawkins, who we've heard about an awful lot, who was the individual who coined the term meme, described some as viruses of the mind. The idea is that certainly highly effective or sticky ideas can bypass critical thinking by appealing to an emotion, to a humor, or a deep-seated human needs, effectively hijacking the mind. Memetic engineering. Now, this is something we might have to come back and look at another day, although there was once upon a time I would have included it in this presentation and it would have gone on to have been about 4 hours long. But I haven't done this for a little while. My eyesight is already beyond suffering, and I am going to try and keep this a little bit shorter than some of my other deeper dive length videos. But we're back to memetic engineering in this AI overview, and this refers to the deliberate creation and propagation of memes with the intent of altering the behavior, beliefs, or thought patterns of targeted audiences. This practice is most commonly seen in the advertising, marketing, and political activism industries, where messages are designed to be concise, emotionally resonant, and highly shareable. Social influence versus mind control. While memes are genuine and powerful forms of social influence, the term mind control is considered pseudo-scientific when used in the context of forcing an individual to act against their will in a fictional supernatural way. In reality, this process works by exploiting natural cognitive bases and social dynamics, making people feel as though they are making their own choices when in fact they are acting on downloaded narratives. Vulnerability is another tool that memetic influence pulls upon. The rapid high-volume information exchange of the digital age, combined with the information overload, makes individuals more susceptible to memetic influence because they rely on mental shortcuts and emotional responses rather than deep critical analysis. In real-world implications, while not mind control in the sense of total irresistible obedience, memetics highlights the very potential for manipulation in social media manipulation. Foreign governments or other groups use social media platforms to spread specific narratives and influence public opinion and policies. Cults and high control groups. Cult researchers have documented how structured indoctrination and coercive persuasion techniques can function as a form of mind control by replacing an individual's core beliefs and loyalties with a new memeplex, a group of reinforcing ideas. Misinformation and polarization. Memetic thinking often reinforces an existing basis on and reduces complex issues to oversimplified slogans or, as I've mentioned before, us versus them narratives, contributing to ideological polarization. This is what I say, guys. If you find yourself in the mindset that you are part of an us that is fighting against them, then there's a very, very, very good chance that memetical influence has gotten hold of you. And rather than being an us and a them, just try to be excellent to each other is a message I have always ended my videos on, of course, from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Be excellent to each other. Everyone is allowed, for the moment at least, to have their own beliefs, ideas, thoughts and opinions on whatever it is they want to have thoughts, beliefs and opinions upon. Just because you believe in something doesn't necessarily mean it's true, and just because somebody else believes in something that may be completely different to what it is that you believe in doesn't mean that they are wrong. Belief systems are important to the individuals, and it is belief systems that are being taken advantage and manipulated through memetics and social media platforms and influencers. Ultimately, the overview finalizes by saying the concept of memetic mind control serves as a powerful metaphor for understanding how ideas spread, shape our perception of reality, and can be weaponized in the modern information environment. Going to have to disagree that they can be weaponized. They are weaponized. It was a military methodology in its initial principles. Military memetics is, as I said, military grade propaganda tools of information, misinformation, propaganda, call it whatever you will. It is weaponized. There isn't any can about it. It has been weaponized. It is weaponized, and it is being used extremely effectively in the modern information environment. Awareness of this process is considered as a key step in developing immunity to such manipulation. And this is what I'm trying to do, guys, is just give you a little bit of awareness that memes are not for your benefit. They're not for your entertainment. They're not for your humor. They are designed to manipulate you one way or another. Now, it may not mean necessarily radicalization, but it may be just as simple as manipulating into thinking perhaps, eating vegan food is better for you than eating meat in Burger King. But there you are. And, the reason I continue to talk about memetics is because very, very few people, as I've mentioned, seem to understand what memetics is, and even those that sort of have watched this have sort of struggled to fathom its context and how it can be used and how it has been used to manipulate the minds of the masses in the last decade or so. And more evidence in today's times, if you look at any random individual's social media feed, whatever platform that is on, there is a very, very, very good chance the majority of the content that is on from that individual's news feed is going to be shared content, and it is going to be either a meme or a TikTok video or any other short form video that is called, goes by other names, be it reels or shorts or stories or anything. As long as it's short form, it is considered memetic. And again, why I do talk about this, because it's very, very real. It's going on right now, and many victims are falling to its influence, and many people have become part of the memetic mechanism and are indeed inadvertently helping spread this memetic mind virus further and further and further and deeper into the minds of society. And this has got nothing to do with spirituality. This has got nothing to do with religious beliefs, political affiliations, or lifestyle choices. This is a systematic attack on the entire society, grouping us into demographics that then can be further controlled more and more and more with memes and memes and memes. And we've heard earlier in this stream this evening or this afternoon, this morning, whatever time of day you happen to be watching this, that we all need to make a little bit more of an effort to be consciously creative. And by that, stop sharing and agreeing, stop scrolling endlessly, finding things to share and agree with, and maybe go out of our way a little bit to make creations of our own. If you really, really, really like memes, why don't you stop sharing memes? Why don't you download a meme generator from the App Store or the Play Store or whatever you get your apps from, and start creating your own memes? I'm consciously creating this video in hopes that maybe a few more of you might get a little bit more of memetic awareness and realize that it is an attack on humanity's free will and ability to think critically for itself. It is implanting thoughts and opinions into the minds of the masses that may not have otherwise had those thoughts and opinions until they had been memetically attacked. And take it upon yourself, to, as we've already heard in this, when you see a meme, stop, ask whose story it is benefiting, consider if it is or not your story, and if it is your story, then go out of your way to tell it for yourself. Don't let others speak for you, and you're never, ever, ever going to be taken seriously if you send clowns to speak for yourself. And I'm sure if you have come across TikTok videos, they sort of defy any bizarre logic that could be when it comes to content creation and production value, where some of these TikTokers get their ideas for content for, I will never know, although I do know the answer. It will come from memetic influence and actors acting on behalf of whoever is funding that particular memetic campaign to act out the part that will then be copied, replicated and spread across social media. So before we wrap things up, I think I'm going to treat you to one last sort of article that is relatively recent and is still sort of contemporarily relevant. So bear with me, guys, and we will try to wrap this up very, very shortly. Thank you for your patience. If you have got this far, you're doing a great job at combating memetic influence. Well done. Pat yourself on your back, give yourself a high five, and have a little bit of something that gives you enjoyment as your own personal reward system, rather than waiting for somebody to give you a thumbs up or a lol in the comments. So here we are at Google search, where I've typed in memetic influence campaign in the search bar and clicked on the news section. And you can see at the very top there, highlighted in purple, is the E! International Relations article that we have already read, although I did butcher it due to the fact of my poor eyesight, not being able to read what was on the screen clearly. And again, that is an award-winning article, or an award has been nominated for an award. I correct myself there, but we are going to just have a little scroll down to the bottom of the search bar just to see what showed up and cropped up in this particular search. And the second one is how AI deepfakes polluted elections in 2024, and that is from December the 21st, 2024. The article we are going to read from Social Samoa Or is that social samosa? It is social samosa. Inside Zoran Mandani's meme-led NYC mayoral campaign. And that is from June 24th of 2025, only a couple of months ago. Brand equality, click, share, laugh, memes becoming the art of new age marketing, rank and file or memes and likes terrorist organization groups. That's from April the 1st of 2025. That might be an interesting one to click off. But I have said we're going to go and read one last article, or maybe we'll save that for another day. And if you are watching, let me know if you want to read or want to hear me read the Europol article that is titled Rank and File or Memes and Likes Terrorist Organizations Groups ... We don't know what follows groups, but let me know if you want to read that in a future video and I might do so. Next is from the Business Standard, from memes to AI, how digital tools reshaped the 2024 general election in India. Again, shaping elections through memes. UOC, University of somewhere or other, I would imagine that is. Memes, a political weapon. What does that one say? What's the article? Page, but the article reads, anonymous Facebook pages continue anti-EU campaign through memes, I would imagine that says. I don't know why I can't read who the host of that is. And this is Mir.com, Power of Memes Shaping Communication and Society. Again, April of 2025, just a few months ago. And the last one, Politico, Memes, GIFs and Selfies, how social media is influencing political activism. I don't know, we're not going to click on that one, but where is the one that I was going to read, because it's the sort of most relevant. And this article, we explore how Zoran Mandani's grassroots, culturally fluent and digitally naive mayoral campaign is reshaping the political influence, what political influence looked like for a new generation of voters, not viewers, goodness. My eyesight is gone. I don't even know why I took it upon myself to read this longer than anticipated article. But in New York City, crowded mayoral race, a low-budget, high-energy campaign is rewriting the playbook. Not with grand endorsements or glossy ad spots, but with memeable stunts, grassroots energy, and a social first strategy that speaks directly to the people who live in the politics they're so often excluded from. Renters, immigrants, students, artists, and Gen Z creators. The campaign belongs to Zoran Mandani, a Democrat, socialist, and state assemblyman from Queens, who quietly, then loudly, became the candidate of a generation. And I believe he is the United States' first ever socialist Islamic mayor. Socialist Islamics. That's a conundrum for you, if ever there was one. But born in Kampala, Uganda, to an Indian family, Mumbai immigrated to New York as a child, and his political roots run deep. His mother is the acclaimed filmmaker behind Monsoon Wedding and the, what's that one? Namesake. Known for her fierce storytelling around dysphoria, class, and belonging. His father is Mahmoud Mudani, and he is a respected academic and political theorist. Raised between cultures, disciplines, and continents, Zoran's life has always been shaped by questions of justice and identity. Before entering public office, he worked as a housing counsellor in Queens helping tenants fight evictions, an experience that would later inform both his policies and his campaign style. And there is a video of him that circulated on Twitter, or X as it's known. I'm thinking there is a YouTube video. Now, as one of the most visible progressive voices in New York's Mandani's mayoral campaign brings together boldly policy ideas, cultural awareness, and smart digital organizing to create something rare in American politics, a movement that feels both joyful and argent. He also draws on his heritage, using language like Bengali and Hindi to connect with immigrant communities. And to think a lot of Americans have sort of difficulty with people speaking Spanish in America. Goodness knows they're going to digest Bengali and Hindi if that starts becoming known. But this is sort of what multiculturalism is all about, is sort of eventually it dilutes whatever indigenous organizations or communities that were originally there, but don't ask the indigenous Native Americans what they think about that. But all the same, back to this article. He's using foreign languages to communicate and connect with migrants who probably might not have otherwise votes, or might not have even understood what some of these politicians were claiming they were going to do should they be elected to power. But it's not just running for mayor. He's also staging a civic intervention, one video at a time. And it's a new kind of visibility. The most visible faces in politics have long emerged from legacy networks, TV studios, and glossy magazines, union halls, and party machines. But this Zoran chap's campaign, by contrast, is rooted in a different kind of networks, sending direct messages. It was once known as personal messages. I don't know why they had to sort of change personal to the direct, but I'm sure there's a nefarious reason for it somewhere along the lines. Instagram Reels, WhatsApp chats, live stream chats. The internet isn't where he advertises, it's where he organizes, mobilizes, and builds his community. From appearing on podcasts like Gaydar and Subway Takes to streaming with Hassan Piker and making cameos at MJ Lendermere concerts, Mandini has embedded himself in cultural current of Gen Z. His campaign doesn't just appeal to young people, it speaks their language, lives in their timelines, and motivate and invites them into the political process on their own terms. And there's some more videos of examples of his posts on social media that have helped influence immigrants and Gen Zers to vote for him, and he is now in power by all accounts. Leaving behind curated monologues, his messaging leans on real-time conversation and reactions. And again, reactions are things that people do to memes and TikTok videos. Instead of distant campaign surrogates, his campaign relies on creators, communities, organizations, and volunteers to shape its public image. He isn't just featured in influencer content, he actively participates in it, showing up in live discussions, neighborhood TikToks, and creator collabs. He sometimes even possesses, sometimes he even posts brain rot templates, which are extremely popular amongst his audience. So, now politicians are reduced to no longer spreading propaganda, but spreading brain rot content because it's popular amongst young voters. And there is a video. Why is my freeze... Oh dear, I'm having all sorts of technical difficulties here with my screen. It has decided to freeze up, and technology has glitched on me, preventing me to go any further. As it is a long article, I am going to wrap it up at that point, and I will give you a couple of final thoughts before I do say goodbye on this subject. But I'm going to abandon this article, and if you're interested in it, you can go and look it up yourself. But this is just another example in modern times how someone is used, in particularly memes and TikTok videos, to influence the masses in his jurisdiction to vote for him. So stay tuned just a little bit longer as we get round to finally wrapping this up. So I decided to wrap this video up where it all started for me well over a decade ago, when I first started to notice these weird things circulating on my Facebook feed, as I had back then, that I found out were known as memes. And I always sort of wondered, where on earth do they come from? Who makes them? You know, is it something that everybody can do, or is there like some sort of meme factory? And it was sort of by putting things like meme factory, meme mechanics, a variety of stuff into a search engine that I did stumble across this, the tutorial of military memetics. And it was this article that did open up the rabbit hole for me that just gets deeper and deeper and deeper some 14 years later. And don't worry, although it says there one of 152 pages, we're not going to go through them all, although I have gone through them all more than once, and we have actually featured this article a couple of times. What I just wanted to do, as I said, wrap it up sort of where it all started for me, and just highlight a couple of things of significance within these first few pages that we are going to scroll through, that will let you realize that this was planned way before we were even introduced to smart technology, or around about the time that things like YouTube, Facebook, and MySpace were starting to become popular on computers, but we still hadn't like the handheld devices that we all do now, where we can sort of access it extremely easier. But you know, things like Facebook, YouTube, certainly did exist in MySpace in the days when this was pitched to DARPA, courtesy of Robotic Technology Inc. And Robotic Technology Inc. are the company that was granted funding from DARPA in order to, you know, perfect military memetics. And this was initially presented by an individual called Dr. Robert Finkelstein, who is the president of Robotic Technology Inc. There is his email address if you wish to send him one, and there is also his phone number and fax number, if or not that is still in circulation, if you want to give him a ring and ask him why he come up with the concept of militarized memetics. You can do so for yourself. But he is a he's a professor of Graduate School of Management and Technology, University of Maryland University College, and this was originally presented at Social Media for Defense Summit in Alexandria, Virginia, 24th to the 26th of October 2011. Now, by 2011, indeed, social media had turned into sort of mobile forms. We had apps, we had cell phones, we had iPhones, we had Androids in their very early sort of phase of development by 2011. But it was back in 2006 to 2009 that DARPA funded when this project for robot technology. And you can see here that this presentation is based on projects Robotic Technology Inc. performed for the Advanced Research Projects Agency, aka DARPA, our good friends over there, not our fine friends at FEMA, our dapper dandy buddies at DARPA, I don't know, I can think of something for D. But this was between, as I said, 2006 and 2009. 2006, smart technology didn't exist commercially, although it more than likely did indeed, in fact, exist for military purposes. And as we say, there's a little thank you to DARPA for supporting and funding them between 2006 and 2009. which was 5 years before the presentation. It took them 5 years to perfect militarized memetics and then present it to them. And since this presentation, the United States government, the United Nations, the British government, a whole lot of NGOs and private sector organizations all now have their department of memetics. Executive summary, motivation: the long war against terrorism and the ongoing conflicts with asymmetric adversaries and fundamentally wars of ideas. We are losing the war of ideas. This is one of the quotes. We are in an information war and we are losing that war, is a quote from Hillary Clinton. Our enemy has said that 50% of the current struggle is taking place in the arena of public information. That may be an understatement, and that was a quote from Donald Rumsfeld, who was Secretary of Defense at the time. Challenge disinformation, turn our enemy as extremist ideologies in oppressive practices and indiscrimination violence against them. So basically, changing the way people behave, think, and act as a result of memetic influence is preferable rather than waging full-scale conflict campaigns and tours of duty that, involve infantry personnel, logistics, materials, mechanics, obviously vehicles and all the stuff that you need to fuel and sustain a mobilized military when they are on active duty. It's far more easier to take a couple of photographs and use some pixels and circulate it for free on social media and let that do its work for you. The other half of the battle is in the arena of ideas and countering the rhetoric and methods that extremists use to recruit. And that is another quote from somebody at the FBI who was an Al-Qaeda interrogator. So some very important people influenced this. But the executive summary: what is a meme? Our pragmatic definition is a meme is information which propagates, has impact, and persists. Memetics is the study and application of memes. Military memetics is the application of memes for national security. It is a subset of neurocognitive warfare, a revolutionary tool in the information war. It can provide a coherent scientific approach for information operations, psychological warfare, and the general war against terrorists / general population. It can prevent or mitigate irrational conflict, reduce the probability of war or defeat, and increase the popularity of peace or victory. Words, ideas are examples of memes. Words, ideas, symbols, icons, logos, tunes, poems, catchphrases, fashion, technological processes, e.g. making arrowheads or gumbo, fables, religion, graffiti, images, novels, movies, narratives, cultures, functional or dysfunctional, national, tribal, or organizational are all examples of memes that have used against us, and all examples of things that have been further memed in order to influence. Memes can be described by their external phenomena, e-memes, and internal phenomena, I-memes. E-memes are manifested by their effects on human behavior and culture. I-memes are manifested by their effects on an individual's neuronal behavior and brain. E-memes and I-memes are not two types of memes, but rather two effective manifestations of memes. So one of them affects your behavior and changes your views on social culture or issues, and the other one just invades your brain and changes the way your brain thinks. And on that note, as I said, I'm in danger of going far too far. We'll stop at page 5. All you have to do is type in military memetics into a search engine of your choice, and hopefully this should be the first thing that crops up. So there we are, going to finish it off on page 5, but let's go back up to the top and realize, as I said, this is something that now 2026, that's almost 20 years ago, a time when none of us had cell phones that had smart capabilities. Self-monitoring analytical research technology is the acronym for SMART. These are spywares. Again, smart technology is military grade materials. But here you can see that this has been a long time in the planning, and the concept of social media platforms themselves were indeed not to keep us connected, not to keep us informed, not to keep us in touch with friends and loved ones, or introduce us to people that we may never meet in lands that are far away. It was designed as the battlefields for memetic warfare. So there may be some of you out there that think, you know what, blaming everything on memetics ArDee is just juvenile and pathetic. There's deeper things in the world than memetics, and I agree there are. However, there is nothing more dangerous to me, in my current opinion, to the human mind, to our ability to, think rationally, have our own cognitive thoughts and opinions for ourselves. These are being threatened and have been threatened, and dare I say, many of our ideologies have been shaped and formed over the last 10 to 15 years purely from memes, and in more recent times, TikTok videos. Make of it what you will, make of it as you will, folks, is always the message here at NoOneWatchesArDee and Ship Video Productions. But really, guys, you need to stop, you need to pay attention and realize if the United States government alone is pumping $50 billion a year into memetic influence campaigns, then you've got to consider the possibility that this is not for the benefit of society, and endlessly sharing memes and TikTok videos is not within your best interests or the best interests of those around you. And you may need to take a little step back and look at your social media behavioral habits and consider and ask yourself if or not they are healthy. And I urge each and every one of you to be consciously creative. Go out of your way and try and create a little something of nothing, a little something out of nothing. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to win Oscars. It doesn't have to be liked and shared. Just create things for yourself rather than relying on memes and TikTok videos to do your thinking and speaking on your behalf. I know it's very, very easy just to press your thumb on the share button and wait for the next thing to come along and share, and it's very, very difficult to get up and even type something into a search engine, and yet alone read the results and go through endless articles that do show up as a result of those searches on search engines of your choice. That indeed is a labor of love and does take an awful extensive amount of time out of the day, unlike memes and short form videos that aren't designed to take out large chunks of your day but are designed to dilute and pollute your mind. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have made it to this far in the video, I certainly thank you for your time and patience in watching this elongated but shorter than normal deep dives looking into the world of military memetics, the $50 billion industry you don't know about. Till next time, guys, take care of each other, one and all. Be excellent to each other. May the force be with us. Hug a Hindu, embrace an atheist, kiss or Jew or two. Till next time, folks, this is ArDee signing out for now. Cue the dancing girl.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.